Not sure this is going to be enough water for me this morning. Let's find out. Probably not enough water for me this morning. Ugh. Got a pile of stuff over there. I mean, a pile. It's not really a pile, it's just stuff over there. Stuff I was working on. First thing in the morning, I go, hey, I had a bright idea. And hello, NC Creek. Hello, T-Kaz. My bright idea said, hey, I've been alternating between going live on TikTok and Instagram for, I don't know, the last month or so. Why don't we do both simultaneously? Why don't we see if I can hook up my computer and have it stream live on one platform while my phone, which you're watching on right now, streams from another. And let me tell you, that's one of those things you should do at night before when your brain's going and you've had your coffee and you're feeling good. And because the last thing you want to do first thing in the morning is deal with technology frustration and trying to figure out platforms and websites and hot TikTok live studio and downloading things. And it was 5 a.m. I'm wanting my coffee, knowing I needed to do my coffee talk show. And I'm poking around on my computer trying to figure out how to go live on 2 different platforms at the same time. Didn't work out that well. So my laptop sits there, still plugged in, mocking me, saying, hey, Coffee with Ken, you couldn't figure out how to use me today. And it's right. I mean, I'll use you later for a different purpose. I've got not a busy day, but a day where I need to be productive today. And I'll use you later, I promise you. So anyway, good morning to you. My name is Ken Tracy, and this is Coffee with Ken. It is Friday morning. It is 5:18 or so. It is, I believe, it's August 30th. Happy Friday. It's a show I've been doing for quite some time. It's a show about me talking. It is a show. Hello, good morning to you, DJ. Congrats on the dream job. It's a show about me talking. It's a show about me sharing some feelings, sharing some experiences, sharing a little bit about life as one man in the great state of Illinois lives it day by day. Yeah. Well, you are welcome, DJ. Good morning, RJ. Thank you for hopping on. You're just in time, RJ. I almost got started at 5 a.m. But I got sidetracked trying to work out a little technology glitches, trying to figure out how to get my live stream going on 2 different platforms at the same time using my laptop. And it didn't work out too well. So I'm just going on one. But I'm thankful for the one that I do have. And I am appreciative of the one I do have. And it's easy to be distracted and be bummed that couldn't figure it out on my laptop. And yes, I'm a little distracted and I'm a little bummed that I couldn't figure out how to dual stream on my laptop. But I need to remember how grateful I am that I am able to go live on this platform that we have and talk to you guys at this early hour on this Friday morning. And But anyway, for those that have been watching a while, you know it is not just a show about me talking. You know it is also a show about me sharing my love of coffee. And with that in mind, I have a nice hot cup of coffee. And I am so excited to have my first sip at this early hour. And it is an early hour. We'll get to that in a little bit. My hope is wherever you are and whatever you're doing, that you have a hot cup of coffee in front of you as well. Cheers to us. Oh, I'll tell you what, when the hot flavor that is pumpkin spice hits the front of your tongue, kind of works its way back, slightly cooling as it travels over your 98.6 degree tongue and then down your throat, it makes any frustration that I had this morning kind of fade. So let's have another sip, see if it happens again. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. I thought about bringing a bag of pumpkin spice to work yesterday. Nobody really orders it at my work. I've been training and waiting tables for, I don't know, probably 10 shifts or so now, or maybe 8 or 9. And I haven't served one cup of coffee at the restaurant I work at. That being said, I still believe the coffee maker that is in the kitchen is intended to brew coffee for the customers. And what a pleasant surprise it would be to my customers. A customer that ordered, hey, I'd love a cup of coffee this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening. And we have our own special coffee. I'm sure that the owner of the restaurant wants served to the customers of the restaurant. But wouldn't it be a fun surprise for the for the customers if they got some pumpkin spice. So my plan. I was going to buy 2 bags. I got a buddy at work that's a big coffee drinker, and I've told him about the deliciousness that is pumpkin spice, and he's a good guy, and he is funny and friendly and hardworking and a good dad and a good employee, and I thought I'd get him a bag of pumpkin spice coffee. Plus, I was a little running low for my own, so I thought I'd stop at the store and get 2 bags. Went to the grocery store, left my home a little bit early yesterday to give me enough time to go to the grocery store, get my 2 bags of pumpkin spice coffee, bring one in for my buddy, and have an extra one for me. Alas, they didn't have any pumpkin spice on the shelves. So when I woke this morning to a nearly empty bag of pumpkin spice, hold on, at least nearly empty after I poured my first pot, I made a mental to-do list and said, I'm going to go to Super Target and buy me some pumpkin spice coffee today. So if anyone wants to know what are on my plans or is taking notes and wants to keep track of what's on the docket or what are my plans for the day, and number 1, go to Super Target and pick up at least 1 bag of pumpkin spice coffee, because that's what I'm going to do. Number 2, complete Coffee with Ken Friday version. Number 3, and they're going to get smaller and smaller, Go back to bed. Post Coffee with Ken on various social media platforms. Number 4, grab a remote. See what's going on in the world and flip on CNBC and watch it a little mindlessly for a while. Number 5, maybe drift back off to sleep for a little while because I woke up at 4:30 this morning, which seems premature, I would say. Number 6, I'm just going to rattle off my thoughts for the day. And you're not supposed to look too far ahead. Do as I say, not as I do. Number 6, get up, go like this, rub the sleep out of my eyes. Head off to the gym, get a quick workout in. Always feels good to get a quick workout in and add a check mark on the plus side of your activities for the day. Number 7, probably head off to Starbucks, get a cup of coffee there, edit a whole bunch of videos, and build my social media platforms. Number 8, and it could be number 1 through 8, would be if I have an opportunity, go visit my little beautiful babies today at my ex-wife's at their mom's home. And spend a little time with them and maybe take them to the playground and love on them for a little bit. And I took Augie and Eve to the playground 2 days ago, and we'd had a big rainstorm the night before, and they were climbing around on the equipment, which makes me a little bit nervous. One's just about 2, and one is about 3.5. And it's not the kiddie little baby playground. I mean, they don't have the big, tough playground equipment they used to. All the playgrounds are rubberized or wood chipped. I tell you what, I don't know who was inventing playgrounds in the 1950s and 60s and 70s. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was pavement underneath one of the tallest slides I ever remember. Doesn't seem like a good idea having pavement underneath your playground equipment, but alas, maybe I'm wrong. If anybody out there is watching from Downers Grove and was a child in the 70s and remembers Dorhofer Park that had this huge rocket ship slide with a bar missing at the very top of the rocket ship that you could climb out and climb over and climb into the top. I believe it was on pavement, over pavement. It's probably pretty dangerous. Do I own any livestock? No, I do not. RJ said, the news said that the 24 pumpkin spice flavor is very bold and popular this year. I don't know if it's any different than last year, but it's delicious. Can I try MSNBC today? I just can't see a reason in the world I would. Again, in the morning I watch CNBC. I like Joe Kernan. I'll tell you what. I've been watching CNBC since, 1990. And I don't know when Joe Kernan got hired there, but it was in the 90s. And David Faber. And it was in the 90s. So they've been doing the show for 30 years at least. And I tell you what, I don't know how much they've aged. I know how much I aged. When I started watching CNBC in 1991, I had a full head of blonde hair. Now look at me. Look at me. No full head of any kind of hair. Let's have a little more coffee. RJ's trying to get my blood worked up today. He's throwing out political comments. Questions. I don't even know if they're questions. I don't know. Do they have question marks in? No. He's just throwing out political comments. It's too early in the morning for me to get worked up. I don't want to get worked up every day. I don't think we should get too involved in politics every day. I think 95% of America knows who they're going to vote for already. So watching politics, just gets you worked up for no reason and feeling like those that are voting for the other party or other candidate are the enemies. I had to I don't know if I scolded them. I'm doing my best to ignore kind of negative or hostile comments towards me in life and in social media. But I had what I'd say was a hostile political commenter on a video I did that granted touched on politics. But either way, he was hostile towards me and towards probably half of the country. It seems he didn't think it was okay to have an opinion that disagreed with his. I think it's okay he has an opinion that disagrees with me. But he was getting hostile on it and on my platform. And he told me that I should stick to coffee. In other words, I shouldn't speak out on my thoughts, but he could speak out on his. And I said, yeah, seems you have a desire to censor me on my platform. Not to mention be bullying and insulting. I would prefer you not watch me on this platform or any other platform if this is the type of person you are. Because I promise nothing I said was in mine was, and even if I did, it's my platform. But none that I said was, hostile or insulting. But anyway, seems we can't have discourse now. And maybe we're guilty on both sides of the political aisle, and maybe that's why I'm pushing America to get a grip and move towards the middle. Because I think the middle's kind of a friendly, happy, kinder, nicer place. But for some reason, it feels both political parties are kind of being run by the extremes. And you can't see the other side or understand the other side if you want to represent a political party, because you're going to alienate the most vocal of your party if you ever throw a kind word towards the other side of the political aisle or have any understanding for their point of view. So what it's caused is both parties to move to the extremes and not have a moderate Republican or a moderate Democrat or a independent, heaven forbid an independent win office. That would be just darn silly. You got to line up and agree with all your party's policies. And the more you can say mean about the other party, the better. Seems kind of weird. It's unfortunate, and I'm hoping it changes. Good morning, Ian. Yeah, I'm hoping that changes. I've had people joke. I've been doing this show long enough that enough people were joking about Ken for President 2024. And I said, oh, no. I tell them the story how I ran for school board in Naperville in 2020 under a want of keeping the schools open and mixing up the school board with different thoughts. Because it seemed the opinions of the school board were all lockstep and all aligned. I thought it'd be nice to have somebody on the school board that didn't have a PhD in education and was just a dad. But even on school board, even in local politics, it can get pretty nasty. And due to a clerical effort or error or God intervened, my name never got on the ballot. Probably saved me a lot of trouble. Maybe I'm going to start a campaign for Ken for President 2028. Is it too early to start campaigning? Under a moderate, more middle of the road political viewpoint, one that sees both sides and wants to hug and smile with everybody? I don't know if it's too early or I'm too uneducated or certainly not wealthy enough. Although, what's her name? Alexandria Cortez-Ocasio. I might be mixing up her middle and last name, and I apologize. Apparently used to be a bartender 6 years ago. She was a powerful speaker in the Democratic Convention. She's a good speaker. She can fire up her, I don't agree with most of the things she says, but she's a really good speaker. So kudos to her for that. And she rose from bartendress to congressperson in a short period of time. I don't even know how old she is. I don't even know if she's 35 years old. I don't know if she can run for president yet. So maybe, since I am 35 years old, I could throw my hat in the ring and announce my candidacy for 2028. But it might be a little premature. I don't want to start the rumor mill. I don't want to get anybody too excited too early, because I haven't made a full commitment to running for president in 2028. I'm going to have to talk with my family, talk with my pastor, do a whole lot of praying, a lot of reflection, a lot of consideration. Am I willing to make the commitment and time it would take to run for office while waiting tables 5 nights a week and working out 2 or 3 nights a week and continuing to do my Coffee with Ken show and loving on my babies as much as possible? Do I have the time to be president of the United States while would I be spread too thin? Would I be spread too thin? I think that I might. So maybe I'll have to give something up. Maybe I won't be able to keep going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to have to give up this steel configured body, this almost perfectly sculpted masculine shape that is in front of you, to run for president. Because there might not be enough hours in the day for it all. Wow. I've got my campaign manager, RJ, already rocking my logo. Ken Tracy, leading with integrity and building a brighter future. See, that sounds so positive. That sounds so positive and friendly. I mean, you might have stolen it from some other candidate. It sounds like something I've heard before. But I like it. I like it. I'd struggle. I'd say, look, I don't have all the answers. But I think I asked the right questions. So, one piece of advice for someone in their mid-20s. I was thinking about that. Can I get another cup of coffee? I'm drinking quickly. I was empowering every American, inspiring a better tomorrow. I like that. Inspiring a better tomorrow. I think RJ's sitting on AI and coming up with political slogans. Oh, hold on. Are you guys still there? I'm going to pour my coffee. Maybe I should move my coffee maker over by my chair. Nah, it's got to keep it in the kitchen. By my chair is by my bed. It's in my bedroom. Fill her up. Okay, well, I have. What were we talking about? We were talking about me running for... See, this is what RJ did. He planted the seed. He got me... But, I mean, I'm not really talking politics. I mean, I'm talking about running for president in 2028. How old will I be in 2028? I'll be turning 60. You know, personally, I think it'd be cool to have a candidate in his 50s. But I think maybe 60, maybe I could appeal to the late 50s, the 60-year-olds, the Gen Xers. I never really thought of myself as a Gen Xer or a Gen anything. I don't really know about that. I thought they were just kind of making it up. I had at my restaurant the other day. I don't know if you guys know the piece of advice for mid-20s. A lot of people ask me what I would tell a younger version of myself. If I could talk to a 20-year-old me, what would I tell them and what piece of advice would I give them? And honestly, my answer to that might be I wouldn't want to talk to a 20-year-old version of myself. Because a 20-year-old version of myself had to live life and learn the experiences life was going to teach him. And fall down and scrape his knee and drink too much and party too much and gamble too much and squander his money and have too many meaningless relationships and live the life that was laid out in front of him without intervention from an older version of himself. To learn the lessons that life was going to teach him and to gain the experience to become the man that he was meant to be. And because of that, I would struggle telling you, whoever was asking, 20-something-year-old person how to live their life or what to do or wake in gratitude or not drink alcohol or go to church or exercise or love your parents. You know, all those things matter. All those things matter, but they're all things you have to learn that life has to teach you. And I don't think me, who you probably look at some old, bald, white guy, can teach you the lessons that life's going to teach you. And I think you'd be better off living your life, doing it with open eyes, trying things, experiencing things, falling down, scraping your knee, but keep on going. I guess keep on going. Keep on going, because there were times in my life that I struggled to keep going and didn't want to keep going. Didn't think I could keep going. But I managed to keep going, and I'm still keeping going today. Oh, that and drink a lot of pumpkin spice coffee. It's delicious. I didn't know about pumpkin spice in my 20s. That's what I'd do. If I went back to my 20-year-old self with all the wisdom I could possibly muster, I'd slap me in the face. I wonder if the Ken of today could beat up the Ken of 30 years ago. I doubt. I think I'd be a pretty good match. I mean, I might hurt myself today. My yesterday's self might hurt, but I'm just about as strong as I was back then. Yes, I was, RJ, and I also was trying to do TikTok live on the MacBook. We could talk about that later. I think it'd be neat to be able to do. For anyone just hopping on, I started my morning pretty early today, and I've been going live here on TikTok and on a different social media platform, alternating back and forth day to day. And I started doing that a few months ago when I was out in Yellowstone National Park, and I left my MacBook with this fancy Coffee with Ken logo here in the Chicago area. And I thought that, hey, maybe I could go live on both platforms at the same time and see how it goes, instead of alternating and trying to build both audiences at the same time. And honestly, at 5 this morning, I was struggling and couldn't figure it out. So I said, hey, maybe we'll figure it out later. Let's put it on the back burner. Let's be thankful that I can go live to my audience here on TikTok. And let's not get stressed out trying to figure out something before I have my first cup of coffee. Good morning, Ryan Marks. Jay Rokes followed the live creator. Thank you so much for following the live creator. I really appreciate that. Hello, Lemonade. Again, I'm trying to grow my platforms. Whatever social media platform you're watching this on, please subscribe to my page because I have a lot of fun doing this. And I'm a guy just kind of working his way down life, trying to learn some lessons, get a little better every day, and do his best. And enjoy doing this show. And again, I hop on live every morning pretty much and just kind of talk about things. It's funny when I meet people in the real world and they ask me, find out about my show and want to know what it's about. Just a guy having coffee. All right, am I ready for Labor Day? I don't know what it means to be ready for Labor Day. You mean like mentally or emotionally, or do I have my plans made or stuff done? No, my summer was spent in Yellowstone. And I'm okay that my summer was spent in Yellowstone, but I think I missed a lot of the hot days of Chicago summers and sitting out by the pool and getting a great suntan or too much of a suntan. And so I don't know if my summer went fast or slow, but my summer was remarkable. I'll tell you what. A lot of people will ask me how my ride was to Yellowstone. I had somebody on a scooter page that follows me ask me how it was riding a scooter to Yellowstone and back, and how was it? And I think remarkable is a good way to describe my trip to Yellowstone and my experience there. And the learning, the education and just the experience overall was awesome. Not that it was fun necessarily, or, because there were certainly times of loneliness, and I cannot tell you how happy I am to be back in the Chicago suburbs and not living in Yellowstone. But still, the memories and the trip itself will make me smile the rest of my life. Yeah, Will Bill Chill, it certainly was an achievement. I'll tell you what, even riding the scooter across the way, the ride back felt so much easier, even though I crashed on the ride back. My ankle still hurts, by the way. I crashed my bike on the ride back. But it felt so much easier on the ride back. I felt a better rider. maybe the wind was going with me. Certainly the temperature was a heck of a lot warmer. And I think I was a more experienced biker at that point. Because I've ridden almost 7,000 miles this year. It's a lot on two wheels. Guess when you don't own a car. Uh, guess when you don't own a car, you got to put miles on something, or you better get a good pair of running shoes. Oh yeah, RJ, I do remember East Wyoming and entering through Nebraska. Somebody was telling me the other day how they love Wyoming. A lot of people tell me, oh, I would love to do that, or I dream of doing that, or I'd like to retire to Yellowstone or live there. I would encourage them to give it a try. I would encourage them to give it a try. Makes the ride easier. The destination makes the ride easier. Going home, always a good journey. Well, but the destination was super exciting on the ride out as well, because I didn't know what awaited me, Tenley, after my journey out. And I was excited. I was just excited to be on the road. I remember clicking off the days on the ride out, thinking, this isn't the trip. This isn't what I'm doing. I'm just getting to what I'm doing, if that makes sense to you. The adventure's supposed to be in Yellowstone. I'm going for Yellowstone. I'm not going just for a long ride. But honestly, for me, it felt like when I got there, getting there's half the fun. Getting there's half the fun. Even though, let me promise you, and for those that tuned in and those that I talked to on the ride, I wouldn't always use fun as the way I described the trip out there. Terrifying and very cold. Or experiences I felt a lot of the times. Users asking, why do I not have a car? Because I was cutting back and I was doing what I had to do and I couldn't afford my car payments. And a year and a half ago, I left my career as a realtor and I had a fancy car and I was twice divorced and I had a lot of financial responsibilities. And took a job working at Super Target, making $15.50 an hour after leaving a 17-year career as a realtor. And honestly, a guy making $15.50 a year, although I felt pretty cool pulling into the parking lot with my Audi A6, in reality, couldn't afford the Audi A6 any longer. And no longer have it. And been riding my scooter this season and working hard and trying to build up the resources and kind of get my feet under me again and save up for better things while still enjoying the things I have and enjoying the life I have. I'm right now coming at you from an extended stay. I've been back in the Chicago area for 4 weeks today. 4 weeks today. I've had a fun, not always, when I say fun, I mean interesting. Period. If you get a car, you're going to keep my Bergman. I love my Bergman. I love the Bergman. I've had the Bergman. I bought the Bergman maybe longer ago than I bought the car. Yeah, I had my scooter before I had my car. And I got the car. My scooter, I think, was pretty jealous. But I rode it a lot. I loved on it a lot. I think it appreciates no longer having any competition. sitting there with its duct taped left grip and it scrapes on the side from when I dumped the bike on the ride back. Me and my Suzuki Bergman both have some bumps and bruises from the road, but we just chalk them up to experience. Teddy Kizzy, what's new with Ken? Are you still going to the gym? Oh, Teddy Kizzy, you must be tuning in. Had you been taking notes from my broadcast today, I think thing to do number 5 or 6 was go to the gym. And yeah, I'm still going to the gym. I was there on Monday. It was an interesting day on Monday. I joined Planet Fitness, I don't know, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. I'd been working out in Yellowstone pretty consistently, but and on Monday I was there, and I wasn't sure what type of workout I wanted to do, and I kind of do the same routine of 3 or 4 sets of 4 different exercises every time, and I was sitting there on the bench press about to bench, and I go, maybe let's just do a lot of these and see how many I can do. And I start with 50-pound dumbbells when I'm bench pressing. Not that the weight I do matters, because you and I are different, but either way. And I benched them 30 times. And I go, that felt pretty darn tiring. I don't feel I can bench anymore. Let's do it on curls. Let's do it on lat pulls. Let's do it on core workout. And so I did a max rep of each exercise, and it felt real good, and it was like a 15-minute workout. What year is the scooter? It is a 2008. Do people track the year of manufacturing like with cars? I don't know if they do. I know it's a 2008. I don't know if that means I track it, but I know what year it is. Again, bought it 7 years ago, used, and it's a 2008. I bought it in 2017, I think, and it had 9,300 miles. So whoever owned it before me was riding at about 1,000 miles a year, which is probably pretty typical for riding on 2 wheels. It might even be more than a lot of people do. But let me tell you, my scooter's well loved. And in the last 7 years, I've put on 16,000 miles. Tenley says people usually say the year of their car when talking about it. I guess you could say that. I certainly don't introduce my bike as this is a 2008 Suzuki Bergman 400. I don't think. Unless somebody wanted to know how old it was. Unless it was relevant to the story. I believe I said what type of car I owned, and I don't think I introduced it with its age. How to stay positive despite the difficulties? Well, first of all, accept the difficulties are a part of life. And realize that life is difficult and be okay with it and not fight it. So accept the difficulties, and you're going to have some today and not fight them. I think I used to fight difficulties and argue with difficulties. And I'll tell you what, the difficulties would usually win those arguments. And whatever form or shape a difficulty could be, whether it be a car issue or a fight with a loved one or a issue at work or unemployment or a big bill or a challenging day at the office or a shift at the restaurant when you have almost no customers, they're all difficulties. And I think how you cope with those difficulties is the key to staying positive despite the difficulties. Accept the difficulties. Embrace them. Be grateful for them anyway. Be thankful they came across your plate. Believe they came for a reason. And be grateful. Might be an unprecedented morning. And I say it's unprecedented, but it wouldn't really be unprecedented. My coffee's running a little low. I could wrap up my show now, but I feel we're just getting going. How the show has flown by. How time flies. I went to sleep. I had a really slow day at the restaurant yesterday, and I don't think I was mentally prepared for it. I came in, I was excited. I had all this enthusiasm, was going to have the world's greatest shift, and thought we were going to get a lot of traffic through. And the hours ticked off, and I had no customers. And it was a weird feeling for me because I like to keep busy. And without customers, it's kind of hard to keep busy because when, there's side work to do and things you can kind of do while you're on a shift to keep the moments between customers, side work to do and things you can kind of do while you're on a shift to keep the moments between customers. And so I found myself on a really slow shift going, left me, my mind going, what am I supposed to do? I've been slow in real estate before. I was a realtor for 17 years. I've had slow days. I knew what I could do to feel good about my job and feel like I'm being productive, or at least try to. Or as a stockbroker, if I felt like I had nothing to do, I could always pick up the phone and make another call. But yesterday I felt kind of confused because I was sitting there and going, I don't have any customers. All the silverware is rolled. All the glassware is clean. So I kind of would walk around and try and occasionally I'd stick my head out the front door, see if I could talk anybody to coming into our restaurant. And I think there's a lot of opportunities when you're slow and when you're serving or waiting tables, or you want to be waiting tables, but you have no customers, for your mind to go negative and get frustrated or get resentful or get bummed out or feel like you're wasting your time or you're not doing enough or any number of negative thoughts. But I think yesterday was a difficulty. And as I said a few minutes ago, that difficulties are going to come. And it's how we deal with those difficulties that determines, how happy our days are and how joyous our days are and how we're going to feel about the day coming tomorrow and the shift that's coming the day after. Yeah. I think you take note of the difficulties and you chalk it up as a learning experience. And if you line up too many difficulties in any area of your life, you make adjustments. But I don't think you do anything drastic or make any swinging changes or need to. But you accept that difficulties are a part of life and that they're going to come. Yeah. How do I feel about retired folks that can't make ends meet these days? Well, let me say, I'm 56 years old and I'm not planning to retire. I guess I'm not planning to retire. I don't plan to be waiting tables at 75 years old. But for me, retirement doesn't sound very attractive. For me, the thought of being retired doesn't sound very attractive. So I guess I'm not planning on retiring. I never did as a realtor. I thought I'd be showing homes till I kicked the bucket. You know, just thought I'd be dealing with older clientele and showing them retired homes or ranches. But again, I left that a year and a half ago, or almost coming up on 2 years ago now, and my plans haven't changed. I don't plan ever to being retired, watching the grass grow. Certainly, as I'm sitting right now, I'm not planning financially for any retirement. So how do I feel about retired people that can't afford their expenses? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate, and expenses have gone up, and costs are unfortunately high. Should we depend on an elected government official to better our lives? Somebody's trying to fire me up politically. No, I don't think we should depend on a government official to better our lives. You know, you guys know how I feel. I prefer a smaller government, and yeah. You guys hold on for a minute. I like to keep my show an hour or less. I'm not totally sure why. I am not totally sure why. Hey, JP, thank you for following the live creators. RJ, do you like 90-minute shows? Do you like 90-minute shows? As it helps your... RJ says, as it helps your YouTube watch time. I don't know that it does. Hold on, let me get some coffee. Well, let me get some coffee. Does it help my YouTube watch time? I post these videos on various social media platforms, and I found that almost no matter how long this show is, I average about 25 minutes of viewership on the other social media platforms. So whether it's a 40-minute show or a 80-minute show, the watch time doesn't grow very much, but it might grow a little. So it might help my watch time. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep talking for a little bit. I poured myself some more coffee. I know that. And again, JP Sakaloff, thank you for following the live creator. Despite our country advances in the past 250 years, are we ready for a woman president? Sure. I'd have no problem with a woman president. I don't think, I haven't heard anybody say they wouldn't, I don't think anybody would have any issue with a woman president. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that would, but I certainly don't understand why. Yeah, like RJ said, if the candidate qualifies, then sure, I wouldn't elect a woman president because she's a woman. But I certainly wouldn't hold it against her. Yeah. Just Me says he'd say no. I don't know what he's saying no to. Tara Jacobs, she's been sweet to me again, sending me these heart puffs. They make me smile. Can you name a president who served 4 terms? Well, he didn't serve out his 4th term. The U.S., one of the last major powers to not have a woman leader yet. And again, wow, you guys are throwing out a lot of stuff. Good morning, Kelly R. Kelly R, I thought of you during the night, by the way. I woke up and had this relaxing music going and laid there and realized I had to pee. So I did, and I laid back down because I got up from the bed before I went to the washroom. I just thought I'd clarify that in case anybody was wondering. And as I laid there, I go, I wonder what's going on social media. And I flipped on TikTok here and looked, and I had like 20 new likes. And I go, one of my videos must be very popular. And it was Kelly R. had watched a bunch of my videos and liked a whole bunch of different videos. RJ is sending me a hat and mustache. I think RJ secretly wishes I was one of the village people. That shows how old I am. I see myself with a hat and mustache. I think of the village people. You could probably think of the TV show Yellowstone, which is coming out soon. Did they really pause it for like 2 years? After I got separated from my second wife, I was living at a buddy's and we were watching Yellowstone, the first few seasons. Watch like an episode every night. And then it kind of paused. And I was enjoying it. But again, like a lot of shows that start off really strong, I think they start stretching out the storylines and making the storylines, a little crazier and crazier. Because I think when anyone imagines a TV show, they go, hey, and this will be a great idea, and the star will do this, this, and this. But they only plan out maybe half of a season. And by the fourth or fifth season, the writer of the show is really running out of ideas, unless the show is Ally McBeal, and then and I haven't watched Ally McBeal, but I think that show might still be going on. And Ally's probably 150 years old, because I was watching it, I don't know, around the year 2000. And I think it's still going. I'm not sure. What did my Scottish mother think of Margaret Thatcher? I'm not totally sure what she thought of Margaret Thatcher, to be honest with you. I don't remember what she thought of Margaret Thatcher. My thoughts on Margaret Thatcher tend to come from, was watching, there's a Netflix show about the royal family. And I know Margaret Thatcher was conservative, and she got along, I believe, fairly well with Reagan. And so my memories of that time are fond ones. Even though it was a tough time and there was a Cold War going on, those are my, when I was 12 to 20 years, and I remember those fondly. So I remember Margaret Thatcher fairly fondly. Do I believe our country is united in terms of our views to how we handle overseas policies? No, I don't think our country is very united in terms of anything. I just watch episodes of Cheers on rerun. Well, that's cool. Brewing Insight, 1 cup at a time. The TV show MASH had 11 seasons. The Korean War itself was only 3 years. Sometimes shows go too long. Yeah. But the final episode of MASH was, I think, the most watched TV show of all times. And I don't know. They managed to keep that show doing fairly well, but it is interesting you say that. A lot of times TV shows go on too long. Uh, but we, as the viewing audience, want them to. I think Seinfeld went on too long, and that's probably my favorite show of all time. I think the shows from the, I don't know, third and fourth and fifth seasons were probably their best. But they started getting a little zanier and crazier as the seasons went on to get laughs. And I think that's pretty commonplace. Am I dating at all? No, I haven't dated at all, Teddy Kizzy. It's not a super priority. I think that'll all happen when it happens. Uh, I think that'll all happen when it happens. I'm not worried or lonely or needy and I think that's probably a healthy way to be. I think there were times in life I was worried and lonely and needy and felt I needed a woman in my life to complete me. I've got my hands full working on myself and seeing my kids as often as I can and get my feet back under me. Have I studied political science or perhaps practiced in my professional life? Don't exactly understand that question. Just lived my life and am aware of things and have had my eyes open and try and keep myself somewhat educated on the world. Yeah. Is RJ still coming out with slogans? Coffee with Ken, rev up for pumpkin spice adventures on the Bergman. That's a mouthful. I don't really like that. I don't really like that slogan. I think you've jumped the shark, RJ, with your slogan writing. Maybe you need to take a break and rest from the slogans for a little while and come up with some fresh ones tomorrow. Have I ever run any races in downtown Chicago? Teddy Kissy, I've run a whole bunch of races in the downtown Chicago. I've probably done the Chicago Marathon, a bunch. I don't know, 6 or 7 times, I think. And I've run a bunch of different races. There was a corporate challenge that was neat that I think they still do this time where each office has a bunch of teams, puts together a running team. And I worked at a company called Gruntle early on in my brokerage career, and I ran in college, and my brother worked there, and he ran in college. And one of my buddies named Glenn ran in college as well. So we had 3 former college runners on a small running team, and we ended up I think we got like 3rd, which is a pretty big to-do, being that there were some really, really elite runners that worked in the city of Chicago. And for a small little company like ours, again, I believe we got 3rd in a huge event. It was pretty neat. Chicago Marathon is better than Boston? Is that a question? I've run other races in Chicago. I've run a half marathon. I've run a ton of races in Chicago. Boston's pretty cool. It was hard. I mean, not hard to run, hard to do. It was so crowded. It was a narrow race, narrow roads. But it was neat. It was neat. I'm glad I can say I've run the Boston Marathon. And I'm glad I went for the 100th running of the Boston Marathon. That was back in 1996. And was a really neat experience. But just due to the crowds and the smaller roads you're running on and feeling like it was almost shoulder to shoulder the whole way. That's a good question. Is Chicago a better band than Boston? I mean, which is more musically significant? I would have to say Boston is more musically significant than the band Chicago. Yeah, I'd have to. Because, I mean, they got some, I mean, More Than a Feeling itself. They have really only had a couple good albums. And really, the first one was pretty darn good. But after that, they fell down kind of quickly. But still, just on the strength of More Than a Feeling alone, I'm going to have to put the band Boston ahead of the band Chicago. What was my time in Boston? Well, I'll tell you, I ran with my brother Scott, and it was the 100th running, and it was wall-to-wall people, and we finished like 3:07 or something like that. Wasn't really a run for time. Again, it just wasn't able, you couldn't, it was kind of hard training because Boston, I think, is in April, I think. And you got to train for a couple months pretty hard before the marathon. And it's kind of hard training really hard in the winter. You know, you can, and I did, but I wasn't in great shape for it and was just kind of enjoying the experience. Saturday in the park. What is it? Peter Cetera sang for Chicago, I think. Oh, well, fall is much better to run in. Tenley wants to know if spring or fall is better to run in, and fall is far better. Fall is far better. Would I train on a treadmill? I have trained on a treadmill. I wouldn't do it for serious training. I think running on a treadmill isn't quite the same as running out on the streets in the elements, and I think running on the streets is harder than running on a treadmill. The woman of my dreams. I haven't yet met the woman of my dreams. I'll tell you when I meet her. How many hours a day do I exercise? What do you think? Hours a day? Hours a day? Perhaps my arms look extraordinarily large from this angle. How many hours a day does anybody exercise? Even when I was running the marathon, I mean, and running for cross country and track at school. You know, at most, I'd say I exercise for an hour a day. So when you ask how many hours a day, like 6, I mean, you know, I go to the gym probably 3 times a week and am there for 45 minutes. And I'd say that's awesome. And I tend to have an active life. I try and walk a lot and keep fit and eat reasonably healthy and stay in pretty good shape considering I'm mid-50s. Worried that, do I count calories? Really, no. No, I don't at all. I don't count calories at all. I was weighing 221 in January of this year, which is about 15 pounds more than I wanted to be. And I'd been working out pretty consistently for several months before that and came to the conclusion that working out, unless you're really like running hard, doesn't burn enough calories. Going to the gym and lifting weights doesn't burn enough calories to really cause you to lose any weight, to be honest. So what you got to do is change your eating habits. And I realized no matter how many reps I did, bench pressing or curls or whatever, I wasn't losing any weight, but I was getting stronger. So I changed my eating habits and cut out snacks and changed it to eating 2 large meals a day, really whatever I wanted. And I lost 2 pounds a week doing that and felt great doing it and felt like my body was more efficient. And again, ate 2 huge meals a day, really whatever I wanted, and didn't worry about calories at all, and cut out snacks. And if I counted anything, I counted the number of hours a day that I felt hungry. And like right now, I'm a little hungry because the last meal I had was yesterday at about 4:30. So I haven't had anything to eat other than maybe an apple for 14 hours. And I probably won't eat for another 2 or 3 hours today. And I'm just telling you, if you can have 14 or 6, if you're not consuming for 16 hours a day, if you're not taking in any calories, you can eat a whole heck of a lot in those 8 hours a day and still not gain weight and still lose weight. Yeah, Marisol said, I like what you said about having to get used to being a little hungry. If you're overweight out there, and I'm not judging, but I'm just saying, start enjoying the experience of being hungry. Because when you're hungry, you are losing weight. Your body is going, oh, there's nothing in the tummy. I'm going to have to look around, find something to give me energy. Hey, there's these fat cells sitting right here. I'm going to start digesting them. I'm going to go to work on those to get energy. You obviously want to eat protein and not lose muscle mass. But if you binge eat beef and hamburger and chicken or fish or nuts or what have you, and I'm not a dietitian, but this is just from personal experience, you can eat all the meat you want twice a day, and there's no way you're going to gain weight. You can eat, when I was in Yellowstone, I never got buns on my beef patties. To me, buns are just excuses, something to carry the meat. How do I stay disciplined? Hold on here. I'm going to go back. Have I ever thought about going to the gym every day and just getting jacked? Johnny Jacobs asked. I've certainly thought about it. But honestly, the thought of going to the gym every day doesn't appeal to me. And if I went every day, I'd probably get tired of going and quit. I'd probably get in really good shape. And I'd probably stop going in 6 months and take 3 years off and get lazy and fat and soft. And I'd rather go 3 times a week for 30 or 45 minutes and do my 4 sets of bench curls, lat pulls, and core work, and I don't know, move around and keep active and stay pretty fit, and not worry so much about going every day and getting jacked. Yeah. How do I stay disciplined? I'm not sure I am that disciplined. Again, I don't ask. I guess the best way to stay disciplined is not demand too much of yourself. And if I wanted to go to the gym every day to get jacked, that might be demanding more than I wanted to of myself. And I would fall off the wagon of working out and I'd lose it. I guess how I stay disciplined is I focus on the benefits of the activity I'm getting involved with. I know I'm going to go to the gym today and I'm going to work out for 45 minutes and it's going to feel good and I'm going to feel like I accomplished something and I'm going to be proud of myself. And that's that. And then a couple days, day or 2 days from now, I'll probably go back. And 2 days after that, I'll probably go back. And that'll be 3 times a week and I'll be in good shape and I'll be proud of myself and I'll like the way I look in the mirror and I'll feel good about who I am and what I'm doing. If you're talking about like sobriety, I don't struggle to not drink alcohol. I don't even really think about it. I just focus on how good I feel not drinking. Yeah, being buzzed feels good, but being hungover doesn't. And I haven't been hungover in 3 years. And I think I'm a better human being and better person uh, not drinking. And again, I think feeling pride in you're proud of what you're doing. And I knew every day that I was drinking, I didn't feel very proud of who I was or what I was doing or like I was bettering my life in any way. Uh, yeah. Realistic goals help people keep people going to the gym. Yeah, Tenley, I think most people uh, do work out too hard. Have I thought about being a podcaster like Joe Rogan? A lot of people say I should have a podcast. I think I do. I think this is a podcast, isn't it? I I don't know what it means to have a podcast. Talking to a live audience? I feel I'm doing that right now. If I was president, would I reintroduce prohibition? No, I wouldn't. For me, think alcohol is a bad thing. And I think alcohol for me is a bad thing. And it's probably bad for 95% of the people that drink it or 80% of the people that drink it. But I don't think if I was president, it would be my decision to make what is good and bad for you. Again, I believe in smaller government generally and prefer less government. And I don't want the government telling me what I need to and what I can and can't consume, or what shots I need to take, or what masks I need to wear, or when I can go outside and who is necessary and who is not to leave their homes. Yeah, there are a lot of bad things. And we as adults, yeah, when I was drinking, if the government told me I couldn't, or my dad told me I couldn't, or my wife told me I couldn't, I still probably would have found a way. I think those are choices we have to make for ourselves. And how did Naperville people handle COVID? Poorly. They did what everyone else did, but I think they got all worked up. Roe versus Wade, does it concern me? No. I certainly see both sides to that, to Roe versus Wade. I certainly see both sides to it. And it concerns me in that our country's so divided on that. And I understand why our country's divided on that. And because it's deeply personal to a lot of people. And, it's not deeply personal to me because I understand both sides. And I wish we could agree, but I don't know how we can. Don't know how we can because I can see both sides. Oh, that's so good. I mean, I could get a fourth cup of coffee if you guys really want to keep talking. Hello, Ricky T. Do you guys want to keep talking? Do you guys want to keep talking? Callie's hopping around on. I'm not sure who Callie is. Callie hops on. Callie's been watching me for a long time, but I'm a little suspicious of Callie. I'm not sure who Callie is. Some of the questions they ask and some of the comments they make seem to be intentionally trying to rile me up or throw me off or, yeah. I think the first way to agree is to come up with a certain amount of weeks. Oh, you're talking about that. Well, I'm a natural politician and a true fellow American. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. JP, I might be a natural politician, but I think I rub people the wrong way uh, often. And I'm not even trying to. I'm just being me. And being me has always got me in a little, uh, not in trouble. I don't know. I just talk. But I like talking over coffee, and my cup's running low. We're going to do a test. We're going to do a test. Oh. So yeah, somebody said, "Do I want to do a podcast like Joe Rogan?" I think this is. It's just a different platform. And I have big audiences on various social media platforms, and I've had people watching me on these platforms going, "Hey, you should do a podcast." And to me, that means turning off what I'm doing here that we're talking on as we speak and going to some other station and trying to build an audience there and saying, "Hey guys, let's go over there and talk over there," when we're already talking over here. So I've never understood the value of doing a podcast. Yeah, I understand Joe Rogan has a huge audience and makes a lot of money. But the reason he makes a lot of money is because he has a huge audience. The platform that he is speaking on, I don't think is really relevant. Maybe you could say he owns his content or what have you. And when, I'm going on TikTok right now and, maybe they own this audience and I don't. And maybe that would be the problem. Yeah. But Callie, your curiosity becomes invasive from time to time. Some of the questions you ask, I would say, are invasive. Pushing on insensitive. I'll just leave it at that. As president, would you create any new national parks or make changes to existing parks? I like that we're talking about me from as president. Would I create any new national parks? I doubt it. I don't know. I just spent the summer in Yellowstone. It's pretty darn big. I don't think we need any, I don't know. I think it's neat that America has some land set aside for the national parks. And as much as I believe in smaller government, and as much as I was bored to death living in Yellowstone, there was not much going on. I was bored there. I'd seen Old Faithful. I'd ridden around. I'd done it all. I wanted to come home. I don't want to live in a national park, but I'm glad they're set aside, and I'm glad there's no McDonald's or Dairy Queens in the national parks. And I think they're beautiful, and I'm glad they're permanently set aside because we had a lot of land, and we still have a lot of land that is able to be developed and used by the private sector as the free market see fit. As president, this is fun, would I direct infrastructure funds to make use of the open land in Montana or Wyoming for affordable housing? Again, I think no. I would. I think if we freed up the markets, the affordable housing would be built where it need be built. I don't think we need to herd people out to Montana or Wyoming for affordable housing. I think people should live. I think the private sector does a better job of determining that, and the best way for the private sector to get building affordable housing, because I'm living in affordable housing. I'm living in an extended stay for 4 weeks maybe right now. And I think there's a program set up by the government called Section 8 housing, which helps people that are that can't afford it find housing. And I think that this building that I'm living in accepts Section 8 housing. And I'm not sure of that, but I have a feeling. And because of that, that would be an example of the private sector fulfilling the affordable housing needs. And there's people living in this building that I'm living in now that are getting their housing needs filled by the private sector. So I'd rather have less regulation and less government intervention and more private sector development and fulfilling the housing needs that are out there, because clearly we don't have enough housing in America, because housing prices have gotten crazy to the point that I can't rent a home. Sally Valla says, next time Yosemite. Sally, I've been to Yosemite, actually. I went on my first honeymoon. We were in Yosemite for a few days. It's pretty. It's beautiful. Looking back, I'd say it's prettier than Yellowstone, if I had to say. And granted, I was there less time. So I probably started taking the beauty of Yellowstone for granted. But honestly, a lot of the beauty that is Yellowstone is that it's, there's beautiful mountains and beautiful wildlife, but it's unusual in that it's such a hotspot of geothermal activity and geysers and stuff like that. And that's a different type of beauty. But it's almost like you're on Mars or something with steam coming out from land and all over. But anyway, so yeah, I would love there be to me again, but I don't know who's supposed to define what affordable housing is. But I do believe in supply and demand, and I do believe in capitalism. It's funny because that's almost a dirty word these days. And I'd like that to stop. Or Republican Party is almost a dirty word. It's weird. But anyway, I'm going to have a little more coffee. If anyone wants to say anything or talk a little more, I'd be happy to. This is my longest show that I've done in a while, but it's been fun. It's felt good. I've enjoyed it. I'm on my fourth cup of coffee. Party time. It's not even 7 o'clock yet. I would have started earlier, but I was having technical difficulty. If the food was better at Yellowstone, would that have been a deciding factor on staying? No. No, I needed to get home because my kids needed me. And so I came home. That was the deciding factor. There were other factors that I realized every bit of time off while I was every bit of time off I had, any weekend or any 2 shifts open, I was getting out of Yellowstone and I was going to civilization. And for me, I was fortunate being in Mammoth Hot Springs that I was on the edge of Yellowstone, and that I was able to ride my scooter down the mountain to Gardner, Montana, which is a town of about 3,000 people. Neat little town, but now it's a tourist town. Speaking of affordable housing, I was thinking of, hey, I could live here. This is neat. I see mountains all around, right on the gate of Yellowstone. And then I looked at prices of houses, and the cheapest home for sale, and these were not big homes. It was like $1.3 million. And it's crazy because there's schools and there's football fields and there's elementary schools and there's public libraries, all things that are needed in a community And what this town was becoming was just a tourist place. And all the properties, excuse me, were being bought up by investors and rented out to tourists that wanted to go to Yellowstone. And you could see the town changing and the community changing, and it losing its identity as a community where kids go to school and, there's playgrounds, and becoming just a tourist spot, a place to rent and pay exorbitant rental rates while visiting Yellowstone. RJ says Indianapolis has affordable housing. The 415 house is 140 in Indianapolis. RJ, I bet it's not. I doubt it. I don't think it's as cheap as you think. I'm sure it's not. I'm going to say you're a smart guy, RJ. But that house is not 140 grand in Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis is neat, and I do know it's more affordable, and I do know it's Midwestern, and I think there's a lot of things I'd like about it. But again, after traveling around and trying other things and seeing other places, anytime I go anywhere, it makes me miss the suburbs of Chicago. And I'll tell you what, after being in Yellowstone this summer, I love Naperville. I love where I live, and feel fortunate where I live. Tanya is saying, here in Florida is outrageous. I assume you're talking about real estate prices. Yeah, okay, Atwood's in Indy. How much do homes cost in Indianapolis, Atwood? What's a 4-bedroom home cost in Indianapolis? In a fairly nice neighborhood. I posted a picture on social media. There was a home for sale in a neighborhood I liked a whole heck of a lot that I used to live in a year and a half ago. Really close to downtown, a bunch of smaller homes in an incredibly cool location, about a mile from the downtown, so you could walk if you wanted. And a lot of little 3-bedroom, 1-bath or 1.5-bath little ranches on small little lots. And a home came up for sale in that neighborhood, and they were asking $415, and it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2.5-car garage. And I saw some pictures of it online, and I rode my scooter over there, and I was thinking, boy, this would be perfect for me. Great location, big enough where I could have my kids over and spend long periods of time, and I could, if I wanted to keep waiting tables in downtown Naperville, I could. And I could keep building Coffee with Ken, and I'd have neighbors, and I'd have a garage, and I'd park my car, and I'd park my scooter, and I'd meet the neighbors, and I'd love it. And they're asking $415 for it, which my mortgage would be about $3,000 a month. I'm paying $2,000 a month for this room I'm in now. But there's a lot of advantages. There's no utilities, and it gives me some flexibility. But if I could buy that home, I would, and I'd love it. I would love it. And I'd set up a Augie room, and I'd set up an Eve room, or I might have Augie and Eve share a room, because maybe they should. And might have a guest room. Maybe I'd have an Augie room, an Eve room, and a guest room for my 2 big girls. Anytime they wanted to come, I'd love to have them. And a room for myself, and I'd get the yard looking beautiful, and I'd update it as much as I possibly could, as money would allow, because it would be my forever home. I have no desire to own a huge home with huge property taxes and a huge yard. But I would like to own I think I've realized I still long for the American dream a little bit. And although I've entertained ideas like living in an RV, I think that was out of necessity of the time. And now that I'm back here living in the Chicago suburbs, uh, I want more. And to me, more means owning a piece of land and being able to do what I want with it and have my kids over and have rooms for them and maybe have my kids half the time. That would be perfect. That'd be a dream for me. What would be the tax base there for a 400K home a year? I think you would be paying about 8 grand in taxes on that home. I don't know, but let's say $8,000. That'd be a good guess. And again, that might sound a lot for those out of the Chicago suburbs, and maybe it is a lot. But for that $8,000, which is a lot if you're a retirement individual with no kids, but I have two little beautiful children that could go to schools in one of the best school districts in the state of Illinois, and that could live in a town that is consistently voted as one of the best places to raise a family in Illinois or in the country. And for that, I'd be happy to spend 8 grand. Tenley asks, what about a trailer park community? I don't know. I love Naperville. Yeah, Atwood says it's worth it because being so close to downtown Chicago. I'll tell you what. What's cool about Naperville, Atwood, is you don't need, because I haven't been to downtown Chicago in maybe 2 years. I love Chicago too. Uh, I love Chicago too, but I haven't been to downtown Chicago in 2 years, probably, maybe not, but something like that. And Naperville's a bustling enough community that with stores and restaurants and bars and really everything I'd want in a city or a town that I live in. Good morning, Josh. How are you? How are you? I've been going a long time, Josh. Hello, Dennis. This has almost become a Kennathon. This has almost become a Kennathon. I guess I'm not working today. I mean, I honestly consider this, I don't want to say it's work, because it doesn't generate a whole heck of a lot of revenue. And I think usually we equate work with revenue generating and pay. But since this doesn't at this moment, I enjoy it. I'm having fun with you. But I think it's building something that matters. I think it's building something that matters, and it's building a platform, and it's building an audience, and it's building a podcast or content creation or coffee with Ken or whatever you want to call it. And it keeps building. And if you keep putting work to something, at something, you gotta pull weeds and plant seeds and tend to your fields and tend to your crops, and for months and months and months you don't see anything. And then one day a little green sprout pops through the earth, and a few weeks later that green sprout becomes a plant, and a few weeks after that, that plant bears fruit. And honestly, I think that's what's happening with Coffee with Ken, is that I'm planting the seeds and laying the fertilizer and pulling the weeds. And in a time not too far from now, I'm going to be able to harvest the crops and buy that $410,000 or $415,000 home in Naperville and decorate the rooms the way my kids want them, and have a guest room for my big girls, and park my scooter and buy a car to put in the garage. And yeah. But anyway, it's Friday morning. I've had a great time talking with you this morning. Gone into 4 cups of coffee and extended the show a little longer than I expected to. But I appreciate you guys so much for making this show fun and for hopping on with me today. And following along in my journey that is life. And I appreciate you. Thank you, Josh, Chip, and RJ. And God has blessed me, Josh. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and staying with me and drinking some coffee and watching today. So anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope you had a great night's sleep. I hope you are feeling good. I hope you are loving yourself. I hope you are forgiving yourself. And as always, I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.